As always, spoiler warning for the Spanish Grand Prix qualifying. You have been warned. Oh my god, I am bored now. Another one too for Mercedes. Honestly, coming into this weekend, I was pretty confident that Ferrari were going to be able to at least put up a bit of a challenge to Mercedes. They look so good in winter testing here, and for so long, I can't deny, in Melbourne, I thought it was going to be close between Mercedes and Ferrari wouldn't quite have the gap. After Bahrain, I was then almost skewed the other way and thought, I think Ferrari are the quickest. Now we've got to Spain, it's clear Mercedes are the quickest. Another one too, Bottas with another pole position, that's 3 in a row, and now leads the qualifying battle against Lewis Hamilton. I didn't think I'd be saying that at any point this season, yet alone 5 races into the season. Vettel was just able to get P3, but that was helped out quite a bit by Charles Leclerc making a mistake in Q2, damaging the floor of his car, which really didn't help his running, and consequently Max Verstappen was able to slot in between the two Ferraris. At the front, to be honest with you, there's not really a lot to talk about. Hamilton, initially on his first run in Q3, didn't get it all together, made a mistake through turn 7, consequently was 6/10 down from Valteri Bottas, and then most of the cars on their second run, track evolution just wasn't there in Q3. It was there in Q1 and Q2, but in Q3, everyone's final run ended up going slower. So Bottas is a mighty 6/10 ahead of Lewis Hamilton. A further 2/10 back from Hamilton was Vettel. Verstappen there, you can just see, was behind him, and Leclerc behind him. Gasly, probably that's the best he was going to be able to do this weekend. 2/10 behind Leclerc is a really good job. 3/10 behind Verstappen. If he can do that for the rest of the year, he is going to be in a very comfortable place within that Red Bull team. So Gasly will be content with that. The rest of the drivers in the top 10, Grosjean, Magnussen, Kvyat and Ricciardo. Ricciardo, a bit of a surprise considering where they were in Q1. Probably, just like I said with the rest of the top 10, we were probably expecting that sort of order. The Haas team finally, I'm saying a little bit tentatively, finally seem to have got on top of their problems. However, it is yet to be seen whether they're going to be able to claw that back in the race. Traditionally this season, things haven't quite gone so well for the black and gold team. Race pace just goes completely out of the window. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, for my boys, especially Grosjean, who just edged out Magnussen by 11 thousandths. I'm hoping they can survive lap 1, which with Grosjean in Spain, you never quite know. Last year, obviously, a mega big smash from Grosjean. Probably one of the worst of his career, I will happily say. So that will be on his mind, and part of me thinks he'll take lap 1 a little bit tentatively, which in itself might cause issues. So watch out for Grosjean on lap 1 tomorrow. Kvyat 9th, I think he'll be really happy with that. Toro Rosso, a team that over the last few races have really improved. Last time out in Baku, first time this season they didn't get any points. However, they seem to really be marking almost a statement of intent this season that they will be trying to fight for this best of the rest. So for Kvyat, that's a big job from him. Ricciardo, don't know how he got into Q3. Ended up quite a bit off the pace. 6/10 behind Danny Kvyat. Almost lucked out a little bit in the sense that Sainz was on a good lap and made a mistake in Q2. He couldn't get through. Albon had traffic. Norris made a little bit of a mistake in Q2 as well. So Ricciardo was lucky, but you've got to be in the right place at the right time. So again, I'm not too sure whether he's going to be going forward in the race tomorrow, Ricciardo. And with guys like Norris, Albon and Sainz just outside the top 10 behind him on fresh rubber, fresh tyres, I expect those guys to potentially get past Ricciardo. But maybe Renault have better race pace than the Haas cars and can move forward. So I'm expecting tomorrow to generally be a fight about the midfield. That's what I'm guessing, because the gap between Mercedes, Ferrari Maybe Red Bull could get in the mix with Ferrari, but I think this is going to be a midfield scrap unless something crazy happens at the front like we saw in 2016, where the two Mercedes that were leading, Rosberg and Hamilton at the time, contact out of turn 3. Max Verstappen won his first race. That's the kind of race we're going to be wishing for this weekend. Just outside the top 10 then, and starting, as I mentioned a second ago, on fresh tyres. Lando Norris put himself in P11, Alex Albon in P12, Carlos Sainz in P13 at his home race, what could be his final ever home race in Formula 1, with Spain potentially going off the calendar next season. That's all a little bit up in the air, but it's certainly a possibility. Sainz in an unlucky P13, if you want to call it that. This is the first ever time in his career he's been out-qualified by his teammate in Spain, and this guy's had teammates such as Max Verstappen. So it's a bit of a shame for Sainz, but as I mentioned, he made a mistake on his final run. He'll be disappointed, but McLaren, new management, Andreas Seidel, that you just saw on screen a second ago, he is now with the team full-time as of this race, so this is his first proper race in charge. Potentially, those guys will be looking to work their way into the points and will hope for a double points finish. Raikkonen has scored points in every single race. He lines up in P14, so he might be trying to move forward into the race. Racing Point, they seem to be nowhere this weekend. A brand new motorhome. Most of the teams bringing a brand new kind of motorhome this weekend. Doesn't seem to have affected their on-track performance. That is Perez P15, Stroll P17, Hulkenberg split those two. Hulkenberg out again in Q1. He's having a really rough time of it. And at the back of the grid, Giovinazzi P18 and the two Williams 19th and 20th. Russell just edging out his teammate once again this season. He is out qualified Kubica at every single event so far this season. However, that's going to swap around tomorrow. Russell with an issue, contact with the wall in final practice, grid penalty for the race. So he will start last, Kubica 19th. Ricciardo, he's got a grid drop as well because of his incident with Kvyat last time out, so he will drop down to P13, elevating Norris, Albon and Sainz. Now, before we go, as always in our little qualifying report, we like to have a little almost predictions, have a little look forward into the race, but we also like to have a little look at drivers of the day. I want to say there's a few candidates here and there, but to be honest with you, Spain is known to be a bit of a procession in qualifying, usually 2 Mercedes, 2 Ferraris, 2 Red Bulls, and if you look at the colour schemes on the screen right now, it's not too far off. Russell, I've not put in the driver of the day, but to just be 4/10 off Giovinazzi, a second in front of his teammate, is a really good job. However, my top 3 for drivers of the day, I've gone with Bottas as my star man from qualifying. First time in his career, he's had 3 pole positions in a row. Like I said at the start of the video, the fact that he's not only beaten Lewis Hamilton at a circuit Hamilton is usually so dominant at, but by doing it by 6/10 is huge. He really, the porridge master with the beard, has so much momentum with him right now. I didn't want to give it to him because he's in a Mercedes and it is expected. But at the same time, that margin over Lewis Hamilton at a circuit like this, I couldn't ignore. And also I didn't want to be shouted at for being biased because I put Grosjean in at P2. Again, you're probably looking at the cars out on circuit, P7 or 8, that's where you would have expected him to be. But to be honest with you, with all the pressure on his shoulders, especially at this circuit, I was very impressed that he out-qualified Magnussen and got so close to Leclerc and Gasly. Ones to watch for tomorrow then, Carlos Sainz with that home crowd support behind him. He has scored in every single race he has partaken in the Spanish Grand Prix, so I definitely expect him to be on a little bit of a different strategy tomorrow. And I expect him to be very racy at what could be his final home race. Kimi Raikkonen, who has scored in every single race this season, the only driver outside the top 6 to do so, I think he will be causing a bit of a show and potentially could be driver of the day. And Max Verstappen, Red Bull's race pace is looking good. It's looking quick. So tomorrow, a little bit like I've just mentioned with Sainz, expect Verstappen to potentially do a little bit of a different strategy with Gasly as a rear gunner this time. I think that'll come into play if Gasly's a little bit off the pace. Opening up strategy options for Red Bull, potentially closing doors for Mercedes, Verstappen could be definitely on the charge tomorrow. Let me know in the comments below, who do you think was great in qualifying? I'm starting to think maybe I should have put Russell as driver of the day. It's just so hard to tell in that awful Williams car. But let me know who you think is driver of the day and who's going to win tomorrow's race in the comments section below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Spanish Grand Prix.